All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to our August 20th, 2024 Southline City Council meeting. Appreciate everybody's attendance. Entertain a motion that we begin.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. We'll start with a moment of silence. After that, Councilmember Stewart will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. It's time for public comment. Might anybody here with us to come and address the mayor and council and staff? Anybody online? Got people online? Awesome. People on Facebook, we'll give you till 6:15. Just write public comment as if you were here. Give us your name. Tell us what's on your mind here, Mr. Hanson.
Mike Hanson. I read through the packet of information for the vacation of the alleyway, starting at 37th Street between Jefferson and Porter. I see the decision was made to exclude the property behind my house from the petition, and just wanted some public comment here to say that I wish you would reconsider. I understand there's some access issues that may arise with the neighbor behind, but I can assure you I've lived there for 20 years. I've only seen that door open 3 times. It's because somebody got rowdy inside and knocked the door off the rails. They just don't use it. The door probably doesn't even function at this point, aside from just plugging a hole in the side of the building. So I wish you would reconsider. I mean, I've taken care of 80% of the alleyway that you're giving away to the other people for 20 years, mowed the lawn, taken care of, any issues that have come up with it. So I just, I'm a bit disappointed that the decision was made, and I don't know if it was because the other property owner actually expressed some concern, or if it was just a perceived concern.
I thought were we waiting to check on utilities easements there first? No.
In the packet, it said that you were going to maintain the easements, whatever existed.
Okay.
So.
We had not heard from the owner that he's referring to, that's his, across the alley from his backyard, but we have since spoken with that, and that was why we held up on it.
Yeah, did we vote against it or table it?
It's on tonight's agenda.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah, you tabled it.
okay, I think we okay.
Oh, did I misunderstand the packet of information? It seemed that in the packet, on, I think, page 95, it declared that the city council was moving forward with that action, intending to vacate the property.
It says consideration of previously tabled ordinance, so it's on the tonight's agenda.
Maybe I misunderstood,
No,
and
it's all good.
should I hold my comments for later?
There's not another opportunity later, so
Okay.
you're perfect. So you would
Again-
like us to vacate is what
Yes.
you would like the
please.
council to
And
vote to
I believe
vacate that.
Kim or Corey, I don't remember who owns that house. They don't live there, they rent it out. I haven't seen them in years, haven't crossed paths with them, but I don't know why you can't get a hold of them, or some people can't get a hold of them, but I don't know if he would have issues with it, but I think his silence on the matter, it sounded like last time they had sent some letters and some
hadn't
attempts to reach
responded,
him. It sounds like his silence to me is his vote to go ahead and do it, but
Okay.
that's my interpretation of it. So
Thanks, Mike. Thanks
that's
for
my comment.
letting
I
us know.
appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we'll keep watching online for a few more minutes. Item 4, one item on the consent agenda tonight. That's the approval of the August 6th special meeting and council minutes. Any corrections, changes, discussion on that? Councilmember Stewart.
I just had one comment, and it's an opinion. Anyway, on the minutes, it calls out that we didn't do direction because we ran out of time, but then it indicates that we ended early. So to me, it seems like it's a material misstatement of fact that it was because of time that we didn't do it. I'll get to the spot and tell you the exact wording. On line 86, it says, "The mayor skipped this item due to lack of time," but then it says we ended the meeting at 5:51. And so I think it's more correct if we just say, "The mayor skipped this item," period, or leave off the rest of it, because it's not correct that we
Yeah,
skipped it
I can't
because of
remember why I
lack
did
of
that.
time.
We
It's because-
we had already taken a vote to adjourn.
Yeah, it was a special meeting, and
Oh,
we're used
yeah.
to doing it in the second
So I
meeting.
just thought we just did all the meeting, that's right.
Yeah, it just
Okay.
is not accurate.
Due to the mayor's age, something like that, due to mayor's forgetfulness, something like that. Yeah, thank you. That has changed things. Yeah, it wasn't very long. I think I just forgot, because I was thinking we could only do that in that meeting. So, okay, we'll make that change. Okay, any other? Okay, entertain motion then that we approve the consent agenda.
So moved with that change.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. All right, our first discussion action item is consideration of Resolution 24-25, adopting the fiscal year 2025 budget, and that includes an increase in property taxes. Peter, please.
Mayor, members of the council, thank you for having this discussion tonight. And before us is the consideration of the FY 2025 South Ogden City budget. And just wanted to highlight just a very few items, because we've had plenty of discussion about the working budget and certainly where it is. The one difference from the online version, actually, in this budget is Chief West actually noticed that our capital projects budget for the fire truck needed some carry forward balance of about $71,000. So that has been added to the packet before you. Under consideration, so it's the cost of the fire truck plus the $71,000 in the future year budget column. And then I wanted to talk just briefly writ large about the budget. Of course, it's very important to note that we take this responsibility seriously to balance the city's budget. So the overall general fund budget on page 10 is $20,944,543. And, you know, it's important that we have the resources and the revenue allocations to support the expenses before us so that our budget is in fact balanced. And I appreciate the council's conscientiousness in helping to accomplish that. Specific item that we need to point out tonight just has to do with donations that are in the 24-25 future year budget. And a little bit of this maybe I inherited, and I know that there was another item that was brought up in our work session. So on page 5 of the budget, under account number 1049, 515, we have budgeted $4,600 for city donations, $3,600 to the BCTC, and $1,000 to Bonneville High PTA. And it was noted by the council, and I appreciate them bringing it to my attention, that there was a presentation from the YCC basically soliciting a donation as well, in the amount of $9,958. So if
9,850.
9,000, oh, thank you, 9,858? Okay, great. Great. So if we do move forward with the adoption of this budget, please consider that as an amendment, if that's something that you would consider a friendly amendment. Then I'm just here to remind you that we would need to do that, and you can make your decision accordingly. And just,
BCTC is Bonneville Communities That Care.
thank you.
It's a group through the schools that helps our youth to make wise decisions.
Thank you for pointing that out for members of the public. I appreciate that. And we mentioned this in our working session, just something on the horizon is the aging police vehicles that we would need to replace with SUVs as well as in-car cameras. We have an estimate of that of $1.1 million. It's not really under consideration for the current year budget, but something that would be on the horizon for next year. And beyond that, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I think that's what I wanted to say about the budget tonight, and appreciate all the time and effort that you've put in and the feedback I've gotten from each of you. We also had a utilities rate discussion tonight, but that is not under consideration for the adoption of the 24-25 budget at this time. We would have further discussions on those rates.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you,
No
Peter,
problem.
and thank you for your time on that. Questions or comments for Peter before we vote? Okay, entertain a motion that we approve Resolution 24-25, adopting the fiscal year 2025 budget.
So move.
If anyone wants to add the YCC line, you may do that also.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? This is a roll call vote. Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Smythe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Howe.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Peter.
Thank you.
Item B, consideration of Resolution 24-26, approving agreement with Wasatch Front Football League for Little League Football. Mr. Anderson. And we'll excuse Mr. Dixon to go to another meeting that, in his purple, he's the president of the Weber State Alumni Association this year, and he has the kickoff meeting tonight, so thanks for staying.
Great.
Thanks for staying as long as you could.
What is it, Wildcats or something? I'm not sure how that goes, Matt. You'd have to do it for us. All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. Glad to be here before you tonight. This first one we have here is the Wasatch Front Football Agreement, which is your annual agreement we run through with our city youth. We've been doing this for many years. As you can see, our numbers are down this year. The Ute League is slowly taking over. We are down to just 3 teams. We have 65 kids is all this year, so you're slowly seeing that dissipate and fade at this point. Flag football numbers are looking up, but this is just our annual agreement to move forward with the WFFL. We did have our first game last week. We had 3 teams, 1 won, 2 did not. So, but they're doing good. It's a good experience for the youth at this point. So it'll cost us $250 then plus when we have games on site with the officials. The officials' fees are, I think it's, don't quote me on this, but I think it's $75 for a high school certified official if they officiate a game, 65 if not, and then 50 if they're just, if anybody wants to officiate. Mike, anybody?
Needs a part-time job.
Yeah, part-time
Saturday-
gig on
Saturday job.
Saturdays if you guys are looking for one. No, but that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, please. Councilmember Stewart.
The Ute that you said, the Ute,
Ute Football League?
yes.
Mhm.
Do you see that continuing that direction? And would
Yes.
we end ours? At what point
I don't
would
want
we
to go on
end
the record
ours?
saying yes, but I would dare say we're headed down that road.
Okay, and what's the difference?
The difference is ours is for the youth, so anybody could participate. The Ute League is competition. So
It's more of a comp league than
comp
our
league.
rec
You
league.
have to be almost asked to play. So some of the kids that don't get that, or, you know, in this experience are not going to get that with the Ute League. You have to be picked to sign up, and then their thing is you sign up by high schools. So like you have your Fremont, you have your Bonneville. So there's kind of the mix with us where you've got the Terrace. Terrace has their own franchise, we have our own franchise too. So there's kind of the hard, I don't want to say feelings there, but there is some issues. You know, I'm a Terrace guy and I'm a South Ogden guy, and then they get, you know, junior high, you still got South, and you got Bell. Until they hit that high school age, they don't want to participate to each other. So, but you are seeing it creep. You know, even this year, one of our teams from last year, he pulled all of his kids and did go to the Ute League. Well, he pulled about 12 kids and went to the Ute League with him, but then he also picked up quite a few more. I think he's got 20, 25 kids on his roster.
Huh.
So,
Very expensive.
yeah, it's very,
Kids that won't be able to do it.
to afford it, yeah.
Yeah.
We scholarship kids, but you're slowly seeing this, the WFFL unfortunately fade for that kid that's, you know, parents, one, can't afford it, or if he's not, you know, considered an athlete, unfortunately.
But still wants to play, yeah. So ours is more of a recreation league
Yeah,
versus that, more of a
exactly.
comp league.
Okay.
Did we solve that issue with the female player? That's all,
That wasn't football.
or what?
With the baseball,
Mhm.
you ask me, I'll be good. I'm saying, well, that's a question for Matt. It was settled, yes. Well, I'll say yes, it was. There, I've heard no more.
Okay.
Thank
then-
you.
You
Okay.
bet.
I have a question on the, a comment.
Yeah, please.
Just on our section 6, state of effect, it says this resolution shall be effective on the 16th day of August 2022 and after publication or posting as required by law. So we just need to fix the date.
That's probably where the first game was. Or prior to the first game.
2 years ago?
Oh, 2022. Oh, I was doing the August 16th part.
2022, yeah, a couple years.
We were all younger then, though. It's not. I think that's why we do that. Makes us feel younger. Thank you. Okay, entertain motion, we approve resolution 24-26 on agreement with Wasatch Front Football League with the changes to the date.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, Councilmember Howe,
Yes.
Councilmember Smythe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
Yes.
Thank you. Item C, thanks for staying there, John. Consideration of resolution 24-27, approving an agreement with Painter One to paint various areas of City Hall.
So before you hear tonight, and the next one's kind of the same thing, I'll just give the explanation once. We received some of the ARPA money. It was discussed to possibly use some of it for this, which is not the case anymore. It's going to the fire truck. But this has been budgeted for, was actually in last year's budget and being carried over. Me and City Manager Dixon walked with each department head through their various respective areas and decided what needed to be painted. Probably, I think this is the third time we've got the bid back from these guys, and it's gone up just a little bit, not much. But before you tonight, yeah, Painter One, they're gonna paint various areas. It's mostly the common areas, so some in here, you got kind of your common areas outside is what it's involved in. I believe that one has, if you look in the packet, it actually had kind of a bunch of pictures of actually where they were. One of the guys that submitted a bid. We did contact 5 people. 3 of them were willing to submit bids. Sometimes you get those contractors and they're just, I don't want to do it, it's too much, or,
Not big enough.
yeah, not big enough. So, but that's what you have before you tonight, and it has been budgeted for, and it's in the building and grounds area, 1051, I believe.
Is Assistant City Manager Palmer's office on that list?
Yeah, it's gonna get painted.
Okay, good,
We've already discussed that with her,
Okay.
so, yes.
good, making sure.
Yeah, she wanted bright pink, and then I think was it wallpaper? Yeah. Yeah, she wants wallpaper on the bottom half. All right, I got him to hook her up.
Wayne's coming.
Excellent.
I got some spare wallpaper kicking around I'm gonna hook her up with.
Okay, perfect,
Are these local
as long as that's part of the
Okay.
thing.
contracts?
Painter One, I know Brush Brothers is, Certapros is national. Painter One, they're a smaller company. I think I'm not sure how local they are, but
They're close.
they're close, yeah.
This is northern Utah, so.
Yeah, I like I said, that Certapro is more of a national. You see, the painting industry is interesting. You know, you get a lot of kids going to college, and they'll come in and, you know, they can get this like Certapro. Sometimes you'll see them, they're going to college and they do the painting on the side and make big bucks at it, so. But anyway, Painter One is the one that's there, so.
Okay, any other questions? All right, entertain a motion then that we approve resolution 24-27.
So moved.
One of you want to change it to a
Second.
second? Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, this too is a roll call vote. Councilmember Stevens,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Smythe,
Yes.
Councilmember Howe.
Yes.
Excellent. And then consideration of resolution 24-28, approving agreement with Wall to Wall. Is that Wall to Wall? Or
Yes, yeah. Well,
Commercial flooring to replace flooring in various areas of City Hall.
Yeah, so kind of the same explanation as far as the flooring goes. This one's various areas, and it's listed there specifically which ones they're gonna do. They're doing carpet, the biggest one, they're doing the EOC, they're doing some of the hallways, the TV room up in the fire department, we're getting rid of some carpet and going to something more livable, cleaner, that we can keep cleaner instead of the carpet. But it's the same thing we discussed, and that's one thing they wanted to go through is all the different carpet places, like say the detective's break room. But the entryways are all getting replaced, so more of your common areas, and then your hard used areas, your living quarters, and like say your detectives coming and going quite a bit, so. And then we submitted, same thing, we had 4 companies, only 2 of them were willing to submit wall-to-walls down there off of, is it 36th Street, I think still? Yeah, down there by the mall, so. 32nd?
No, it's 36th and like Pacific.
The Pacific, yeah, it's down there still, yeah, yep, but they're willing to do it, so they're gonna come in and get it done for us, we just need to give them the go-ahead.
Mayor,
Yes, please.
can you address the quality of carpet they're putting in? Can you tell us a little bit about that, what they're putting in?
What we did is we had them come look, and they're matching the existing what is in here.
Okay.
So I didn't request anything different or anything, just said we need to match what we have in here. Or when we went through, and we walked everybody through, when we went through like the fireman's area, you know, said, hey, your tile, looking at your tile, what's gonna be able to take some abuse? Because,
Right.
you know, it's used 24/7, 365 days a year. So we kind of addressed those issues for where, but we didn't spec anything specific, just said, hey, you recommend what's best for us.
Okay.
And that's,
And Mayor, I have another question. Crystal Stevens has the same last name as mine. As was my last name. Do I need to not vote on this?
Go ahead, Lisa, tell.
Is she related to you?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
I would say no if you're not
I
sure.
would say no if you don't know if she's related to
And
you.
if she is related, and for future, for all of it, if she is related, you still can vote, just let us know.
Just have to
that-
disclose it.
That's my niece, but I still say yes, and just so it's disclosed. So
Okay,
I think you're good.
okay, thank you.
Now, if you're gonna do your house because you said yes, that's a problem.
I didn't disclose that part. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just be open and upfront, and we should be good, okay? All right, then, entertain a motion that we approve Resolution 24-28.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, Councilmember Howe?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens?
Yes.
Councilmember Smythe?
Yes.
Councilmember Howard?
Yes.
Councilmember Stewart?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and
Thank you,
Council.
John, appreciate it. Item E, consideration of previously tabled ordinance 24-07, vacating a portion of the alley located between Porter and Jefferson Avenues between 36th and 37th Streets. Lisa, please.
So as previously mentioned, this was on your agenda a couple of meetings ago, but was tabled because we had not been able to contact one of the property owners who is adjacent to the alley, and it was that property owner that had a garage that opens up into the alley. We weren't sure if the garage was usable or if it was being used, and if that person was going to lose access to it if we vacated the alley. So, in the meantime, we tried different contact information. We got a hold of the property owner, and he requested that we not vacate it because he said he does use that garage. That would leave him only about 10 feet to like back out, which according to national engineering standards is not enough to safely back out of a garage and go down the driveway. So they recommend 25 feet. That all being said, I spoke to the gentleman who initiated the application to vacate the alley and told him that the council And by law, by statute, you cannot vacate if you believe that somebody is going to be materially harmed by the vacation, and in this sense, him not being able to access his garage safely would be considered materially harmed. So we just thought the best answer to that would be to vacate the portion to the north. That was, who initiated the petition. And so the two properties, get this. So the two properties, so this looks like three separate parcels, but it really is only one. So we would vacate the alley behind this property and this property, but this area here would remain a city right-of-way. In other words, it would still be an alley owned by the city.
And Mr. Hanson that spoke earlier today is number 28 there on the right.
Right here.
Can the council, though, vacate it all? If it's their choice? Are we violating our own ordinance doing that, or?
It's state statute. You would make yourself liable. You'd be open to lawsuits.
Yeah, please.
Lisa, is that property, so we have the little tan strip, right? That's the portion we're considering vacating. What about the portion of the alleyway to the north of that?
That's already been vacated. If you see these little arrows right here, I don't know, it points from this property to that. It just means that they got half that alley. They own it now. So, yeah, it was vacated, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago.
So who is the property owner that has a problem with the garage then?
This one right here,
That's where the garage is 25 right there.
yeah.
25. So he owns both 24, 25, and 26, is that correct?
Correct.
And his garage is on the 26th there.
This is really, so just an explanation. Back before your day or mine, when they created these blocks with 25-foot sections, and then people could buy one or two or three of the sections. And for whatever reason, the county continues to include those sections on their plat maps, but you'll see that this arrow shows, Mitchell Burke owns 23, 22, and 21. Mr. Hanson owns 27, 28, 29. The CELB investments, they've since subdivided this direction, but they actually own both this property and this property.
So does his garage back out into the alleyway?
It's 1 foot from what we can tell. I mean, we measured, we aren't surveyors, but kind of have these ways to determine where it was. And so myself and the building inspector went out and measured. It appears that his garage is 1 foot off the alley. So he'd have 10 feet that would belong to him to back out into and then come forward.
The alleys are 20 feet.
So if the alley's 20 feet long, he's still not meeting the 25-foot engineering guidelines.
That's correct. But he said that, I mean, I'm an attorney. I can't determine if we are materially harming him. And I don't, yes, you could vacate it, but if it went to a court of law, I don't know how it would stand. I just thought it would be better to not risk it.
Does he use it all the time, or according to Mr. Hanson, it's just fairly
3 times in
limited
20
use?
years.
I asked him if he used it, and he said his tenants don't use it, but he uses it to store things in it. But that's what he told me.
But he stores things in the garage then?
Mr. Hansen's shaking his head.
So there's no car in the garage then?
Not at this point,
Maybe he stores
no.
a car. I don't know. I haven't seen inside the garage. I don't know what he stores in there.
I would recommend then that we vacate that part, so approve this, vacate that part, but we look a little more into that and see what legal says.
We can always vacate it later.
Yeah.
Correct, and I did have that conversation with the owner of CLB Investments, and part of the problem, and again, the inspector, building inspector and I were just measuring with a tape measure, we are not surveyors, but it did appear that Mr. Hansen's fence was 5 feet into the alley, and that might not be true again. We were just going off what we could tell. So there was a little issue with his fence being in the alley. The garage should never have been allowed to be built that close to the alley. So there's some distances there that need to be worked on. And I told the owner of the CLB Investments that our attorney suggested that he speak with Mr. Hansen and maybe get a right-of-way across his portion of the alley if he's not going to move his fence further into the alley and take possession of it, that maybe he could get a right-of-way across his property. But that would be a civil matter between he and Mr. Hansen, and something they would need to work out. And then at that point, if they wanted to, they could petition the city to vacate the rest of the alley.
Okay.
I have a concern that if he's already in the alley, if we didn't vacate that section, if we approached the owner of that investment group to check his fence line and everything, would that be retaliatory for? I think some conversations, I agree with the mayor, I think we can always vacate it later, but I think we need to have some conversations with that owner and what is currently that city property.
Yeah, and with legal.
So if we vacate it, then the property owners can build whatever they want inside. Half of the alley goes to the property owners,
Yeah,
is
half
that
goes one
right?
side, half goes the other, and they could put a fence on that line and do other things. That would be their property. So. Okay, thank you. That was a great explanation. Please.
I have a policy question, and I don't know if now's the time to ask it or later, but it's in relation to this issue.
Go for it.
Okay, so the question I have is, where we're discussing changing what had come before the city council beforehand, at the end of that discussion, it sounded like we were leaning toward, this is a great idea, let's vacate it, let's try one more time to get a hold of this other property owner. So then what comes before us tonight is something different. I wonder, was any effort made to contact the property owners that are now affected differently than what they had anticipated? Because now we're doing something totally different.
So I did contact Mr. Burke, who initiated the petition, and he said he was fine with it. But the public hearing was held, and they, anybody interested, for example, Mr. Hansen, knew the change was coming.
Okay, but what is coming today is different than what we had come
What we
to at the
tabled.
end of that, I guess. And what I'm saying is, how would he know that tonight we were going to discuss it and that it's different than what we had discussed last time we discussed it, is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, so we don't have to send out new notices after the original public hearing because you're able to change it. You could have changed it on the spot then if you had wanted to, but your instruction to staff was to get a hold of the other property owner before any more was done with it. So I remember asking this question to Mr. Bradshaw, do we have to re-inform them? And he told me that the answer was no, because they knew something was coming. They were informed about it before. If they wanted to come to the meeting, they knew it was tabled, that it was going to come back perhaps a different way or the same way. So it's after that point, after the first notification, it's their responsibility to watch for what happens after that.
I see.
Good question.
Mayor, one more
Please.
quick
Yeah.
question. So Lisa, if we go through with this vacation, are there filing fees and stuff with the county that if we decided to do the other part of the vacation later, we would incur those fees again?
No, actually, the county doesn't charge the city to record things.
How does it affect their property taxes then?
Well, they'll have a little bit more land, so I imagine it would go up, but I would think it would be very small.
Yeah.
They're getting, 75 by 10 feet, so 750 more square feet added to their property.
More grass to mow, more work.
So the vacated area, they would have additional property, but the ones where the property, with the alley that's not vacated, their property would stay the same then.
Okay, entertain a motion that we approve previously tabled ordinance 24-07.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any other questions or comments? Okay, this is a roll call vote. Councilmember Stewart,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Smythe,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens,
No?
Councilmember Howe.
No.
Thank you.
Mayor, the reason I voted no is that I would like to have the whole unit looked at and taken care of at one time.
We can still look at the next part, but I guess what you're saying. Yeah, we'll still look at that, the second part. There's some still questions, I guess, to be answered on that part.
And so is that something that we say as direction, we'd like this to happen? Or how do we make sure that that happens?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Is
I
that a
I
matter
think
of
we can
direction?
say direction to just, to check with legal. That sounds like it's a civil dispute almost at this time now, Lisa, would you agree?
Right, so when I talked to legal before about not being able to contact, excuse me, this individual property owner, that was his suggestion, to try as hard as we could to get in contact with him, which we did, but to also perhaps suggest that he work with Mr. Hanson in creating a right-of-way across the across Mr. Hanson's part of the alleyway.
But it's not Mr. Hanson's property right now, it's the city's property. So
That's
the man
right.
would have to talk to the
That's
city.
right. So they would have to have agreed to that before we vacated it, but that may never have happened. And so for all parties involved, we felt this was the best solution.
Yeah, don't hold up that other part because of this part. Okay,
Correct.
all right, thank you much. All right, let's go to item F, consideration of ordinance 24-08, amending the South Island City Code to allow and regulate the keeping of chickens. Please.
So several months ago, you gave instruction to send the keeping of chickens and allowing them back to the Planning Commission to create the regulations. And they did, and they worked on it, made some changes. You as well offered some suggestions, and so I feel what's before you tonight incorporates all the concerns that were expressed both by the Planning Commission and yourselves. You'll see that there's several areas of the code that would be amended if you were to adopt this. I know there was some discussion in the work session, and I just wanted to make sure that you know that you can pass it as is, you can pass it with changes, you can deny it, or you can table it if you have concerns and would like to address those before it gets adopted or not adopted. So you have quite a few options as to how you want to treat this.
Councilmember Smythe.
I suggest, Mayor, that we table this until we have the discussion on ordinance and compliance.
Councilmember Howe.
I mean, I think it's a fair compromise. We talked about this a little bit in the briefing meeting, in the work session. I think it's a fair compromise. I think the Planning Commission did a good job in putting something together that I think would work for everybody. I don't feel that we should hold up. I mean, it really goes back to homeowners' rights and individual liberties. I don't think we should hold that up on the basis that we might find funds for code enforcement. However, I certainly can respect that. I think there's a couple of council members that have made some really good points on that. And they absolutely would have my support in looking for those funds or trying to find a way to do better code enforcement. I think cities around the country, and we're no exclusion to this, have issues with code enforcement. And I think we need to address it. I think we should put it in a work session. I think it should be very detailed. I don't think that this ordinance should be held up for that. But code enforcement definitely has my support. I think homeowners' rights also go the other way. A neighbor shouldn't be, their liberties shouldn't be so open as to infringe on my liberties to have peace of mind and a clean house and clean yard and everything else. I think the chicken ordinance is fair. I think we've done our due diligence. I think it should pass. And I definitely think we should work on code enforcement. And anybody that would suggest that, they would have my absolute support.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yeah,
I
Councilman
appreciate the Planning Commission going ahead and doing the work, but one of the instructions were to find out what the setbacks were, and I didn't see any indication that there was any setbacks of the buildings, and I think that's very important for us to consider. How far back do the buildings go back? And we also talked about registration. What is the cost of the registration and that? So that's what I was looking for, is setbacks in the properties there.
Councilmember Stewart.
So actually, in section B, number 3, it says chicken coops are only permitted in fenced rear yards or fenced corner lot side yards. Coops shall be located a minimum of 5 feet from all property lines, 10 feet from dwellings on the property, and 25 feet from dwellings on adjacent properties. So it does call out setbacks from both the house, the dwelling on their property, and their neighbors' properties.
Okay.
And I think the fees are mentioned just in our regular fee schedule. It's just a permit application. So we have that in our fee schedule already.
So they would come in and register their chickens? Is that
Correct.
what
There's
it
a
would be?
permit required in here.
That's well written.
It's very well, I think it's a really good compromise. It really is.
It's a well-written thing. It's just, how are we going to, if we're going to enforce what? Some things and not other things. Why even have it as a code?
Well, and I would say it's up to this council, really, how much it's enforced, either through emphasis to department heads or through budget, that it can be enforced as strictly as the council would like it to be with
Yeah, we have
resources.
other enforcement issues, and that definitely needs to be addressed. But I think it's a holistic look at ordinance enforcement, whether it's weeds or like I said, stuff in the carport or unkempt yards or whatever. I think it needs to be looked at holistically. I don't think that this ordinance should be held up because of that. But like I said before, it definitely has my support. We need to look at that.
Right,
for
there's
sure.
already a lot of ordinance enforcement issues. This may add some. and it's brought that conversation up, which I think is timely, but, you know, and a lot of the residents, I mean, we took the survey, and it was overwhelmingly in favor, but the way it was worded was, are you in favor of South Island allowing chickens? It did not say, are you going to have chickens? And I think a lot of people voted yes, because government shouldn't tell me what I can do in my backyard, kind of thing. They probably will never get chickens, but they're in favor of people having that option and of people being able to live like they would like. So will we see more chickens in South Ogden if this passes? I say yes, but I do not think it'll be, we're not going to the birds here. It's not overwhelmingly, everybody's going to have a chicken now, and
Pun intended.
and it's just going to get crazy, yes. And so I would consider that too, that, yeah, there'll be some more. There's already a lot right now, so
There is.
most people that really want them already have them.
That's right.
And
We are-
I don't know last time I've heard a neighbor complain about them. I really don't know. So I don't remember.
We don't even know if they've gotten a
Yeah.
permit, and they haven't.
You're right. And so I think this, people say, well, are people already doing it? Yeah, now we'll have permits, now it can be legal, now it can be more enforced. So I don't see a,
And that's the other part of it. Now that it's an actual ordinance, we have the capability, I mean, we had the capability to enforce it before, but now we have a reason. We have permits being applied for. We have neighbors being aware. I mean, half my neighbors didn't even know chickens were against the law. You know?
right. And the best part of the permitting process is now you give them the information. That follow these guidelines. My people now have them and don't know there's no guidelines to follow. And now they'll have the guidelines to follow because they registered their birds. So.
Keep the grasshoppers
my-
down.
No, I mean, it's not all negatives. There are some cons, but there's plenty of pros as well.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Councilmember Howard mentioned the Roy enforcement officer was a retired police officer, and he happens also to be on our planning commission. So we did ask, in one of the meetings, I asked him, well, you know, how does Roy enforce that? And he said that they have to get permits there, and what he does is, once they've, you know, they know the rules, they set up the coop, then they have a run that's enclosed, and then he goes and makes sure that it complies with everything. And then after that, it's kind of like, it's one and done. He would only return if there was a complaint. He doesn't go and inspect it like every year, nor would we require someone to renew the permit every year. We would just request that they call us and let us know if they choose not to have chickens any longer. So,
That's good information.
The thing that I look at with Councilmember Howell is that if we want to study it anymore, we're not going to find out anything different than what we have tonight. I don't see anything changing because we'd look through and say, well, we need X number of dollars for code enforcement for the budget, but what we have presented to us tonight, I don't think it's going to change the materials on that aspect. And I thank Councilwoman Stewart for pointing out, I missed that, the dimensions on that, but that is something I missed there. But I also went around and did some phone calling myself, and it was contrary to the survey that the city ran. I called 50 to 75 people and got a negative response for chickens. And so I think the survey is how it was worded is the reason that we got the numbers that we got on that.
Well, I think if we go for this, the biggest thing is educating the residents that you can only have 2 chickens this much. You have to have the coop, you have to have this, you have to have this, when they get their permit. And if they sign that they've got the permit and you say you can only have 2, education's gonna be the key here.
Yeah.
You know, as far as letting them know how many feet the coops have to be and so forth.
And I think we also have the opportunity here, especially since we've put a city planner into our budget, that we have the opportunity to focus on a lot more things than just chickens when it comes, not just enforcement, but, permitting and really planning this the right way. And this is how cities grow, right? This is how we make decisions and improve for our residents, so.
Thank you. Councilmember Howard?
So I was just going to say I appreciate all the work that's gone into this with the Planning Commission, the discussions that we've had with them, with each other, with staff through the city. I know that with the surveys that have been done, phone calls that have been made, emails, text messages, this is, the one thing is that we're not gonna all ever agree on everything. We saw that tonight. There's lots of differing opinions, but I think the discussions that we've had have been very educating and professional. So I appreciate the conversations that we've had as a council. I've been educated quite a bit, and I appreciate the ability to say, hey, do you know what, let's do this, but let's do this as a group and go after what really is important to the city, making South Ogden better. And so I really appreciate it, and I appreciate everyone here.
And I promise you on one of the next 2 work sessions will be ordinance enforcement discussion broadly, but also dealing with this. So I will guarantee you that. I think that's important. Any other comments? With that, then entertain a motion that we approve ordinance 24-08.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? This is a roll call vote. Councilmember Stewart.
Yes.
Councilmember Howe.
Yes.
Councilmember Smythe.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevens.
No.
I didn't think
Councilmember Howard.
For Adam, yep.
Thank you. Okay, appreciate it. All right.
permit for that?
Item G, consideration of approval of noise ordinance exemption permit for road construction on Harrison Boulevard from US 89 to the north city boundary. Lisa.
So we've had, I believe, 2 other noise exception permits. Both of them came from UDOT, as did this one. And they were all for work on Highway 89. And the reason that they request is because they want to work through the night when there's less traffic, so that they don't impact the traffic along Harrison Boulevard or Highway 89, which are both main arteries. So this permit gives you all the information. They're going to work from US 89 to the north city boundary line. They included a map here. Let me get to it.
3850 south.
And evidently, this turned off while we were talking. Oh, okay. So give it a second. Anyway, and it's just along Harrison Boulevard, and it gives the dates when they'll be working. It's very detailed, I thought. Wow, they've planned these out pretty well. So, again, there are a few homes that back onto Harrison Boulevard that will probably be mostly affected. Part of the requirements of the permit says that they need to send letters to those people informing them directly of what and when things are going to happen. So it's your prerogative to take a look at it and either grant the exception or not.
Councilmember Stewart?
I just have 2 questions. One, do they always go this far in advance? Because it's almost 12 months in advance.
No, previously it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a month
'Cause
or
it would
two, I
be-
thought.
Yeah, it was
When we
like
did
that.
it.
Yeah.
Up by the armory, it was like a month or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this isn't until next summer, right? The 6th month through the 9th month of 2025. And then the other thing, it's related but not exactly on this. As it shows our boundary line, I just thought about what we talked about with our boundary line up 40th Street with Ogden, about whether this city boundary line should run on the side of the street or down the middle of the street.
Some
Anyway,
of
I just
both.
wonder if it's something that we look at because it's not consistent. And the stretch of land is one that's not consistent.
You're right. I saw that too, and I don't know. It's something that if you felt that we should look at it, staff would certainly be willing to do that and see if it's something that we would need to talk with Ogden City about changing the boundary lines there.
I know the reason we did it before is because it affected the development that was going in, and it would seem like it would affect the development that's going in right there with those apartment buildings on Harrison, but maybe it doesn't make any difference for
It
that.
could if they're doing a road cut or adding on, yeah. That's good.
Because, well, if their map is correct, and I'll look at our zoning map here. I
Okay.
trust it. The engineers drew it. The border is actually on the Ogden City side, and so it would affect them more negatively than us. As far as,
Well, so right now,
Yeah.
what you're saying is that the boundary is well within South Ogden, and so they would just follow South Ogden's rules. Because up at the top of 40th, the question was, do they have to follow Ogden's rules or South Ogden's rules?
right. It does swerve over there, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's look into that, please.
We'll take a look at that.
Thank you.
Good question. Other comments, questions? Yeah, that's way in advance and along, what, June through September?
Maybe it takes other cities longer to grant them these requests.
It's true, get on the agenda early. Okay. All right, entertain a motion that we approve, nope. Not an ordinance.
It isn't, but you still need to approve the exception
That's right.
request.
Motion to approve the noise ordinance exemption permit for road construction on Harrison.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
A vote?
That be roll call?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, with City Manager Dixon gone, if you have any reports or direction to him, feel free to call him or email him. If you want everybody else to hear them, then just include all in your email, or have him respond to all when he responds to your comments or questions. I won't go, anybody have anything, though, they'd like to express, just to the public in general, not necessarily to Mr. Dixon or to... I can, or you can? Okay. Happy to, anybody? Please.
I was out at the state, or the Weber County Fair, and South Ogden had a booth out there decorated, and it emphasizes our skate park that we're building. And it was very well done, so I appreciate those who had the opportunity of going forward and doing that booth out there to emphasize our skate park here, but
Yeah, we have not had a display there for a long time, but
Yeah.
Danielle got us involved, and they were really happy about, we got involved, and that was great. I sent her a picture of me and Mr. Dixon in front of it, so. in our
it
cowboy
really,
boots.
it really looked
So-
nice on there, so.
So it was good.
I'd also like to, as a project for our council, and to look at formulating a committee for the 2034 Olympics that's coming. I looked up some of the aspects of the Olympics because I watched some of them on TV, And it says, beyond the allure of gold medals and record-breaking performance, the Olympic spirit serves as a testament to the power of sports in transcending boundaries and bringing together. Let us embrace the Olympic spirit and continue to be inspired by the games and the Winter Games of 2034 for generations to come. And that's what we're looking at for South Ogden, is to be prepared for the 2034 games. And if we start now, we will be prepared for that opportunity to come.
So, a committee to do that, okay? Noted, thank you. All right, anybody else? My report, yeah, this Saturday is the Bonneville Communities That Care 5K and half marathon to raise awareness for opioid and other addictions. So if you're interested, if you probably can, I don't know if you can sign up to run yet, probably too late for that, but you can come and help. I always love it. I always volunteer to give out the medals at the end, be the bearer of good news. That's my job. So that'll be this Saturday through Uinta and ending by Riverdale City Hall. So we're excited about that. That's always a fun event, and it just gets bigger every year. The skate park is coming along very well. They're going to start pouring concrete next week. It's the equivalent of about 80 cement trucks. Wow. They'll do about 40 at a time, and then they'll take a little break and then do the same again. So it should be pretty cool next week to see that come about. Danielle and I have been out. We've done a couple Shop South Ogden business spotlights recently. Those have been very enjoyable. We have a couple more lined up. And then we're going to have to go to welcome See's Candy to South Ogden. They're going to be moving into the Crave Cookie building down by Texas Roadhouse.
Yeah,
by Napolese. So See's Candy will be in South Ogden and working on some permitting and some different things there.
Did they
So
not have one in the mall before?
They're moving from the
Yeah,
mall
that's
to,
what
to
yeah.
us. So
That'll be a sweet event.
that will be. We'll be there for the ribbon cutting and sampling.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're back on track doing these business spotlights. Been good. And thanks everybody for their time and it's nice to get that budget passed. A lot of work goes into that, and again, we can amend that as we need to going forward. So thanks, Lisa. Thanks. You had a lot on the agenda tonight. Thanks for all you do as well. Entertain a motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. Good night, everybody.